It is not a trap. It is not another test designed for you to fail. My beloved child, you are standing at an open door right now, and you are terrifying yourself with reasons not to step through it. Stop and put those heavy reasons down. I am telling you what is waiting on the other side. If you walk away tonight, you will spend another full year asking me for the exact thing that is sitting right in front of you. You will carry the same ache for 12 more months. I saw you last night. You stared at the glass screen in the dark, watching the hours slip by. You wondered when it would finally be your turn to rest. You watched other people receive the very things you have been praying for, and a quiet voice inside you whispered that maybe you are just meant to struggle. I am not offended by your exhaustion, but I absolutely refuse to let you believe a lie that is keeping you outside your own blessing. There is something behind this door that changes the entire story. I am telling you what is moving toward you. I am telling you now because the time for hesitation is completely over. Stay in this room with me. Before this hour is finished, you will understand exactly why your mind always rejects the best things I send you. You will feel the heavy vigilance leave your shoulders for the first time in years, and you will know exactly how to walk through this door without ever looking back. The waiting ends today. Do one thing for me right now. Do not overthink it, and do not try to evaluate it. If you are ready to stop running from what is yours, type, "I am staying in the room." Make the declaration out loud. Put your mark on this moment, then listen to the rest of what I have to say. Let me describe a pattern you know far too well. An opportunity arrives in your life. A relationship softens. A moment of genuine peace finally settles over your house on a random afternoon, and within minutes, you start looking for the catch. You find a sudden reason to back away. You convince yourself that the timing is wrong or the cost will be too high. You sabotage the quiet before it can even take root. You have done this so many times that you do not even realize you are doing it anymore. You have a very harsh explanation for this behavior. You tell yourself that you are lazy. You believe you are just unprepared or fundamentally broken inside. You think you lack the discipline to hold on to good things when they finally arrive. Beloved, you need to hear this clearly. That word has never fit you. You are not broken, and you are certainly not lazy. Here is the truth you have never been told. Human beings do not reject happiness because they are flawed. They reject it because it is unfamiliar. You grew up learning how to survive in a storm, and your mind knows exactly how to handle crisis, betrayal, and deep lack. Peace is a foreign language to you. You choose the familiar hardship because familiar feels incredibly safe. You are not running from failure. You are running from joy because you do not know where to put your hands when you are not fighting. So tonight, I am giving you permission to put your hands down. You do not need to figure out the next 10 years. You only need to endure 10 seconds of unfamiliar peace without finding a new problem to fix. The door is open. It is not a trick, and it is not a test. The only thing standing in your way is a survival habit that outlived its usefulness. Let it go. I know how intensely tired you are. You are tired of being the one who always has to be strong for everyone else in the house. You are tired of reading the room before you even take a breath. And now, when something genuinely good is finally handed to you, your first instinct is to shield your face. You brace for the impact that always came when you were younger, but the impact is not coming this time. The long season of bracing is finally over. You look at the open door and you see 100 ways it could go wrong. You calculate the terrible risk of hoping one more time. I understand why hoping feels like absolute danger to you. When you have been disappointed enough times, expecting nothing becomes a very comfortable hiding place. But a hiding place is not a home. I did not bring you through the wilderness just to leave you hiding in the cold shadows of your own life. You are allowed to be terrified. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is stepping forward while your hands are still shaking. I am holding the door open for you, and I am not going to let it slam shut just because you need a moment to catch your breath. But I will not let you turn around and walk back into the desert. You have circled that barren mountain long enough. It is time to step onto the new ground. I know the exact thought moving through your mind right now. You are listening to this voice. You hear the words, and you are telling yourself that someone simply wrote this script down to manipulate your feelings. You think it is just another video on the internet. You assume it is designed to make you feel good for a few fleeting minutes. You are questioning whether this is truly me speaking to you, or just a coincidence created by a cold algorithm. I am not offended by your doubt. I made the part of you that asks those hard questions. The caution in you is not a defect or a lack of faith. It is armor. You earned that armor honestly because you have been promised things before by people who only wanted something from you. A person who has been sold a false cure is no fool for reading the label a second time. You are being careful. I have no quarrel with careful. I will not demand that you blindly believe everything I say tonight. Belief is not the price of entry here. I am asking something much smaller of you. Notice what happened in your chest a moment ago. These words found the place you have hidden from the whole world. You did not decide to feel that sudden warmth. It arrived before your logic could block it. Judge the fruit, and do not worry about the messenger. If what you hear tonight makes you gentler in your own house, then you will know exactly what this was. If it makes you quieter in your own anxious mind, it is real. Keep your hard questions. Bring them all with you. I have never needed you to be completely certain. I only need you to stay. You look at the open door I have set before you. You immediately think it is too good to be true. You have trained yourself to distrust peace. When the house is quiet and no crisis is happening, you do not rest. You sit on the edge of your seat and wait for the next terrible thing to happen. You believe that any blessing handed to you is just bait for a new trap. That is a devastating way to live your life. It is exhausting to constantly scan the horizon for the next disaster. You have lived in a state of high alert for so many years that your body has forgotten how to relax. You think your vigilance is keeping your family safe. But your heavy vigilance is only keeping you isolated from the very joy I am trying to pour into your days. I am asking you to try a different response today. I want you to practice accepting a good thing without immediately looking for the hidden cost. If you are willing to let your guard down just enough to accept this blessing, type "The door is open for me." Make that your quiet declaration. It is a small step, but it signals to your own heart that you are finally ready to receive. You have spent a lifetime waiting for permission to stop fighting. You look at other people. You wonder how they manage to walk through their days with such ease. They do not have better lives than you do. They simply learned how to set down the shield when the battle was over. You are still carrying your heavy shield through the grocery store and into your living room. I am gently prying your fingers off that cold metal today. The war you are dressed for ended a long time ago. The people who hurt you are no longer in the room, but you are still negotiating with their ghosts in your mind. It is safe to breathe now. The air is clear. The ground beneath you is completely solid. You do not have to earn the right to stand here in peace. There is a deep sorrow attached to realizing how much energy you wasted on false alarms. You mourn the years you spent bracing for impacts that never actually came. I see that quiet grief. I hold it with you. Let it wash over you, and then let it wash away. We are not going to spend the next chapter of your life guarding the ashes of the last one. We are going to build. The blessing I have placed in front of you does not require your absolute perfection. It does not demand that you understand every step of the journey before you take the first one. It only requires you to walk forward with empty hands. You cannot receive a new gift while your fists are clenched around your old pain. Open your hands right now. Let the familiar ache fall to the floor. You are deeply loved. You are chosen for this exact moment of release. Do not let the noise of your past talk you out of the grace of your present. The door remains open before you. It will not close just because you hesitate, but I want you to experience the warmth of the sun on the other side today. Step out of the cold shadow. Your season of waiting is entirely finished. You have been walking through a long and dry valley. You convinced yourself that the dryness was a permanent condition. You looked at the cracked earth and told yourself that nothing would ever grow here again. But I never called it a wasteland. I called it a pathway. And the path is finally leading you out of the canyon and into the open field. The landscape is changing. I know it feels strange to walk without the heavy weight you carried for so long. You might even miss the familiar pressure on your shoulders. Do not go back to pick it up. The lightness you feel is not a mistake. It is the natural state of a soul that has finally allowed itself to be fully held by me. Walk into the new day with a light step. Let me describe exactly how you react when the door finally opens for you. The phone rings with the good news you have been praying for. The doctor gives a completely clear report. A sudden financial relief arrives in the mail, and instead of celebrating, your chest instantly tightens. You do not smile at all. You immediately start calculating all the ways this could fall apart. You do not embrace the joy. You endure it. You wait for the other shoe to drop because you are absolutely certain that a penalty always follows a blessing. You hold your breath. You tell yourself not to get too excited. You walk through the open door like someone stepping into a dangerous minefield. You look at every shadow and expect a brand new disaster to strike. You have a very specific name for this exhausting habit. You call it being realistic. You tell your friends that you are just managing your expectations so you do not get hurt again. You think you are being incredibly wise. And on your darkest nights, you confess to me that you must be fundamentally ungrateful. You ask me to forgive you for not being thankful enough for the miracles. My child, you are not ungrateful. Unthankful people do not lie awake worrying about their lack of gratitude. You are not trying to be difficult. You are not broken. You are simply terrified. You are reading the weather wrong because your eyes are still adjusted to the deep dark. You have trained your own heart to reject the light. Here is what is truly happening beneath the surface of your heart. After you have experienced enough sudden losses, your mind learns a brutal lesson. It learns that hope is the most dangerous emotion a human being can feel. So your mind builds a massive wall to block the joy before it can even arrive. It convinces you that expecting the worst will somehow soften the terrible blow. It is a splint you put on a broken bone many years ago, but the bone healed and you never took the heavy splint off. Now the splint is the very thing causing the limp. I am going to name this mechanism right now so you can finally unsee it. This is the guarded hope. It is not wisdom. It is a defense mechanism that has wildly outlived its purpose. It is a shelter built from old pain. Look back at the last 5 years of your life through this new lens. Think of the beautiful moments you refused to fully enter. Think of the sudden compliments you deflected and the open doors you walked past. You were not being humble. You were protecting yourself from the devastating drop that always seemed to follow a high mountain. You were just a bruised heart trying to survive. I do not condemn you for protecting yourself when you were bleeding. I saw the deep wounds that taught you to be so defensive. I was in the room when those early promises were broken, but you are not bleeding anymore. The brutal war that taught you to brace for impact ended a very long time ago. You are actively guarding a ghost town. There is no enemy left to fight. You lived your life thinking that joy was a fragile glass cup that would shatter if you held it too tightly, so you kept your hands in your pockets. You let the best moments of your life pass by like a stranger on the street. I want to restore those stolen moments to you. I want to teach you how to hold a blessing without constantly looking over your shoulder for the thief. So tonight I am giving you a tiny assignment. I am not asking you to blindly trust the world for the rest of your life. I am asking you to drop your heavy guard for just 10 minutes. When you receive a piece of good news today, do not immediately search for the hidden trap. Stand perfectly still. Let the warmth of the blessing actually touch your skin without analyzing it. Which one were you? The one who stopped asking, or the one who expected the worst? If you are willing to let go of this heavy armor today, I want you to declare it out loud. Comment, I release the fear of disappointment. Put it in writing, so your own mind knows the old rule is completely broken. Step into the sudden joy without an apology. You are allowed to be happy. You did not fail your past tests. You are simply carrying a heavy shield that you no longer need. Breathe deeply now. Feel the sudden lightness in your chest as the old defense mechanism finally shatters into pieces. The air is completely clear. You are perfectly safe. The massive door is wide open and the path ahead is entirely secure. The waiting has finally served its purpose. The peace you feel in this exact moment is real. It is not a trick. Do not rush to fill this quiet space with a new worry. Just stand here and let yourself be held. You have fought a very long and exhausting battle against your own joy. That exhausting battle is over now. You can finally lay your weapons down on the floor. But as you stand here without your armor, you are going to notice a strange pattern in the people you usually let into your life. There is a specific kind of brokenness you keep inviting inside your house. We need to talk about why you keep choosing the hard road when the easy road is sitting right next to it. You are drawn to the struggle. You have arrived here before. The difficult work was almost finished. The heavy door was almost completely open. And just when the person was almost yours to trust, something strange happened inside your mind. You reached out and knocked the entire cup over. You picked a small fight over something that did not matter. You went completely quiet for a full week and let the beautiful opportunity die. Afterward, you sat alone in the dark room. You had absolutely no words for a person who runs away from the very thing he has been begging for. You watched yourself destroy the blessing. You felt like a stranger in your own body. And even though the good thing was resting in your hands, you threw it away before it could ever take root. You abandoned the project right before the finish line. You created a massive storm just so you could feel normal again. You have a very simple explanation for this destructive cycle, and you tell yourself that you are just afraid of failing. You say you are protecting your heart from the inevitable drop. You believe you are unworthy of a peaceful life. My child, look closely at the evidence of your own long life, because you survived massive failures. You survived everything falling apart more than once. And each time the world broke around you, you got up and rebuilt the heavy walls with your bare hands. You are not afraid of the thing collapsing at all. You are terrified of what happens when it actually stands, because you do not know how to exist in a space where nothing is breaking. You have spent your entire life operating in survival mode. When the crisis finally ends, you feel entirely lost. You do not know who you are without a heavy burden on your back. The peace feels incredibly unnatural to you, and your mind interprets that quiet space as an immediate threat. Here is what is truly operating beneath your choices. An unhealed wound does not sit still and wait. It goes looking for a room where the tragic story can finally end differently. So it walks you directly toward whatever is difficult and painful. It does this not because the pain is good, but because the pain is deeply familiar to your weary soul. Recognition feels exactly like home to you, even when your home was never safe. That sudden flood in your chest when you met them was not certainty. It was your own history recognizing its familiar handwriting. I name this cycle right now. This is the familiar door. It stands wide open in every season of your life, and it always looks like the way back. So look again at the terrible choices you have been so ashamed of. You were not being foolish. You were trying to finish something profoundly incomplete. Every one of those broken doors you walked through was just a desperate attempt to repair the original ending. You hoped that this time the cold person would turn warm, and you hoped you would finally be enough. That is not weakness. That is a faithful heart trying to save a child that nobody came for. I saw what you were reaching for. It was never really that person or that terrible job. It was the safe ending you never received. Because you were trying to heal yourself in the very places that broke you, you kept repeating the exact same painful cycle. You did not fail. You were just looking for healing. You stayed in the burning house because you knew exactly where all the exits were. I am not angry with you for trying to survive. I am simply showing you the broken pattern so you can finally step out of it. Carry one simple question to the next doorway. When your chest floods and says, "This is the one," I want you to completely stop. Ask yourself if this is recognition or if this is rightness. Recognition arrives fast and loud, while rightness arrives quietly and gives you plenty of room to actually breathe. You do not have to fix your entire life today. You only have to learn the difference between those two feelings. Notice the powerful pull of the old chaos. Acknowledge the familiar feeling without ever letting it drive your tired feet, and when you learn to spot the familiar trap, the door loses all its destructive power over you. You simply walk past it. I know the thought rising in you right now. You are thinking that you have heard this before. You are remembering the last time you tried to choose the peaceful road. You made the brave choice to walk away from the chaos. But when you stepped into the quiet, it all fell apart anyway. You believe you are simply meant to walk the hard path. You think peace is meant for other people. I will not argue with your painful history. You lived every brutal hour of it. But hear the profound difference today. What you tried before was purely behavior. You tried to force a broken heart to act whole, and the terrible effort left you completely exhausted. Today I am addressing the hidden root beneath the behavior. You did not fail before, you were simply working on the wrong layer. The door I am holding open right now does not lead back to the struggle because it only leads forward. You have been let down so many times that you built an identity around your endurance. I am asking you to lay that heavy identity down today. You do not have to be the strong one who constantly endures the storm. You are allowed to be the one who rests in the peaceful harbor. You are finally ready to handle the quiet. The familiar storm is officially over. You know exactly why the familiar door kept opening for you. Now come with me and see what an ordinary morning looks like when you are no longer standing in front of it. Come to a morning a season from now. Nothing massive has been announced on the news. You wake up before the alarm rings. The phone vibrates on the wooden table, and your stomach does not immediately drop to the floor. You do not brace for impact. You answer it in your own steady voice. Notice what is completely missing from that room. The heavy tightening behind your ribs is not there anymore. You do not rehearse the worst possible outcome before you even say hello. You do not scan the simple words for a hidden threat. The desperate need to control the situation has entirely evaporated. That quiet version of you is not a distant fantasy. She already exists. He is already breathing. That person is standing on the very next step of your journey. The distance between you and that morning is not measured in years. It is measured in permission. And permission is something you must grant yourself today. You just have to speak it once in a quiet room. You tell the old panic that its shift is finally over. Do it tonight. The morning I just showed you will start walking toward you. Type "I claim the season ahead of me." Make that your firm decision today. Now we must look at the road that brings you there. You have asked me for years why the waiting had to be so incredibly painful. You wondered why you had to walk through the heavy silence for so long. I am going to tell you the truth. The silence was not a punishment. The silence was an intense forge. A gift that arrives before the hands are ready to hold it is not a mercy. It is a tragedy disguised as a blessing. I have watched people receive the exact thing they begged for before they were prepared. The weight of the blessing completely crushed them. They did not have the internal structure to sustain the massive joy. I loved you far too much to let that happen to you. The heavy season you just walked through was not designed to break you down. It was designed to hollow you out so you could carry more. You felt completely empty. You called it absolute defeat. I called it making room. I was excavating a space inside your spirit that the world could not easily fill with cheap substitutes. You kept trying to fill the void with busy work and chaotic relationships. You tried to force the familiar door open because empty hands feel terrifying. But empty hands are the only kind that can receive something brand new. I know how many tears you cried in the dark. I counted every single one of them. Not one tear was wasted. Every moment you felt overlooked was actually a moment of divine protection. I kept you hidden in the shadow of my hand until the violent storm had passed over. You thought you were buried. You were actually planted. A planted seed sits in the dark for a very long time. It feels the crushing weight of the heavy dirt pressing down from every side. The seed believes it is entirely forgotten. But the severe pressure is exactly what cracks the hard shell open. You had a hard shell of independence that needed to break today. You had to learn that you could not save yourself. You are finally ready to grow upward. The strong roots are deep enough now. The foundation is completely secure. The violent winds will come again because storms are a part of this world. But the winds will not be able to uproot you anymore. You have learned how to stand firm in the deep quiet. You have learned how to endure the silence without instantly assuming I have abandoned you. I have watched this exact pattern happen 10,000 times. I have seen it in 10,000 different houses. The painful striving always comes first. The deep exhaustion immediately follows the striving, and only after the absolute exhaustion does the real opening appear. You have already completed the first 2 brutal stages. You have been standing at the 3rd stage for much longer than you even realize. You thought the lack of movement meant the story was over. You assumed I had moved on to someone else. I never moved. I was standing right beside you while you wept over the closed doors. I let them close because they lead to rooms that were far too small for your purpose. You were trying to squeeze your life into a tiny box just so you would not have to wait anymore. I am not a god of tiny boxes. I do not deal in temporary comforts. I deal in generational shifts. The thing I am building in your life will outlast you. It will cover your children and it will protect their children. That kind of massive structure takes a lot of time to build. It requires a foundation made of solid rock. You provided the rock when you chose to stay faithful in the dark. You kept showing up when nothing was working. You kept praying when the ceiling felt like thick iron. That is the exact material I used to build miracles. Your stubborn endurance was never ignored. It was gathered up and weighed carefully, and the heavy scale has finally tipped in your favor. You are about to see the massive result of all that invisible work. The people who mocked your quiet faith are going to watch the heavy doors swing wide open. They will not understand how you survived the long winter. They will ask you what your secret strategy was. You will simply tell them that you refused to walk away when the fire went cold. The temperature is rising now. The long winter is officially over. The thick ice is melting off the promises I made to you years ago. You can feel the new warmth spreading through your tired body as you hear these specific words. That is my spirit confirming the truth to your spirit. You are not going crazy. You are finally waking up. Do not let the old panic return today. When the sudden blessing arrives, the enemy will whisper that it is a mistake. The loud noise will tell you that you are not worthy of such a beautiful outcome. You must shut that lying noise down instantly. You do not earn my grace. You simply inherit it. You are the rightful heir to an open door. Prepare your mind for the sudden shift. The transition from the dark valley to the mountaintop can be blinding if you do not adjust your eyes. Look straight ahead. The path is entirely clear. The heavy chains that dragged behind you have been completely severed. You are walking into the bright light as a completely free person. The ground beneath you is shifting right now. You can feel the intense heat of the moment rising in your chest as the long preparation comes to a complete close. I am bringing you to the very edge of the promised land today. You have walked through the dark valley and you survived the brutal winter. Everything we have discussed leads directly to this exact second. I see you standing in front of the open door today. You know perfectly well that this is the exact thing you prayed for. But your tired feet feel like heavy lead. You stare at the blessing and you simply cannot force yourself to walk inside. Your racing heart beats wildly in your throat. You look around the empty frame of the new season and you wonder if it is finally safe to enter without getting hurt. You have literally begged me for this specific breakthrough for years. And now that the massive door is completely wide open, you are completely frozen. You tell yourself that you need to be absolutely sure before you move. You wait for a loud voice from heaven to push you through the threshold. You wait for the fear to vanish entirely before you take a step. You believe courage means feeling no anxiety at all. You have a very polite excuse for your hesitation. You tell yourself that you are just waiting for a clearer sign from me. You believe you need to gather more faith before you can safely receive the gift. You think your hesitation is a sign of deep spiritual maturity. Beloved, you need to hear my voice right now. That polite hesitation is not spiritual maturity at all. You disguise your absolute panic as patience because it feels much better to say you are simply waiting on heaven. You are not actually waiting for a brand new sign. You have received 10 distinct signs this week alone. You are not lacking faith, and you are not being wise. You are simply terrified of the sudden change. You are looking at the miraculous answer to your longest prayer, and you are looking for a reason to reject it. You think refusing the blessing will somehow protect you from losing it later. Here is the profound truth that you must finally understand today. You hold on to the old pain because letting it go feels like you are carelessly dismissing the devastating losses you survived. You believe that stepping into the joy means pretending the long suffering never happened. You stay locked outside the room of receiving. You do this to honor the years you spent crying. I am going to name this final barrier so it loses its grip on you. I call this heavy barrier the guarded gate. It is the false belief that your new joy must be purchased with perfect readiness. It is the terrible lie that says you must be completely healed from your trauma before you are allowed to be truly happy again. But an open door does not require your absolute perfection. It only requires your brave and willing movement forward. Look back at the heavy years you spent waiting outside the gate. You thought your long hesitation was keeping you safe from further disappointment. You were not actually protecting yourself from another disaster. You were starving yourself of the very grace I was trying to pour out. You called it being incredibly careful. The waiting was never supposed to be your permanent residence. Those years of standing in the cold hallway were not a waste. You learned how to recognize my voice in the deep dark. You learned that you could survive the most devastating storms. But the violent storm is completely over now. You do not need to wear a heavy raincoat inside the warm house. You are dragging old survival tools into a brand new season of incredible abundance. Those heavy tools are only weighing you down. I did not bring you all the way to this beautiful threshold just to let you stare at the warm room from the cold outside. I brought you here to fully inhabit it. The blessing does not require you to forget your past scars. It simply requires you to stop letting the scars drive your car. The pain was real, but it does not get to make your decisions anymore. You are the rightful owner of this house. Hear me where you make your deepest decisions. You hesitate at the open door because hoping feels entirely dangerous to you. You think the other shoe is going to drop. But this is not another test designed to break your weary heart. It is the exact end of your long waiting. You must finally accept that the brutal exam has been fully graded. You have absolutely passed the difficult test today. I am ending the terrible argument in your mind today. I am not just softening the lingering pain, I am completely ending it for you right now. You are not late to your own life. You are not hopelessly behind schedule, as you often fear. You have not missed your golden window of glorious opportunity. The door is standing open right now because I opened it for you. You must bravely step through it this very day. I need you to lift your heavy head right now. Stop looking at your dusty shoes and look at the warm room. Say the true words out loud with me. I am not late to my own blessing. Say it again until the violent shaking in your chest finally stops completely. You are not the exception to my faithfulness. The universe did not single you out for an endless life of sheer misery. I have called you by name and I am calling you inside. Your only job today is to walk forward. You do not need to have the next 5 years mapped out perfectly. You only need the courage for one single step. Put your tired foot right across the threshold. Let the old fear scream as loud as it wants to scream. It cannot stop you if you refuse to obey its strict orders. The familiar fear is just a very loud shadow. You are walking into the room of receiving today. You will no longer brace for sudden disappointment. You will no longer apologize for occupying space in the warm light. You will step through the guarded gate and you will confidently claim the massive peace that I have already paid for. The long and bitter exile is completely finished. Welcome to your bright new season of peace. Let me say it to you plainly without a single picture. I want nothing left to interpret today. You have been waiting outside an open door because you believed the waiting proved you were worthy to enter. You thought the pain was the only way to earn peace. Because you believed you had to earn it, you stayed out in the freezing cold. You convinced yourself that the suffering was a necessary part of my plan. You were absolutely wrong about that. The brutal waiting did not earn you the beautiful peace. The heavy door was simply open all along. Your reluctance is not an act of holy patience. Your hesitation is just fear disguised as deep spiritual wisdom. I have already given you every sign you could possibly need to move forward today. You have manufactured 1,000 brilliant excuses to avoid this moment. You are completely terrified of being vulnerable again. You called it discernment, and you called it being realistic. It was just panic dressed up in acceptable clothing. The harsh truth is that you are waiting for the fear to completely disappear before you move. But the fear will not disappear while you are still standing in the dark hallway. The fear only dies when you actually step across the brightly lit threshold. It will not drag you inside against your will. You have to lift your own feet and cross the line. Remember the heavy gate I just named for you. Come and see what the bright house looks like on the other side. Come with me to an ordinary evening a few months from now. You are standing right in the middle of the room you finally claimed. The warm light is falling across the wooden floor. You look around the quiet space knowing it was always meant for you. You realize that absolutely no one can take it away from you now. You feel the solid wood under your tired feet. You hear the gentle sound of the wind outside the thick glass. The terrible storm is raging out there, but it cannot touch you inside this secure house. You have completely stopped fighting the world. Notice what is entirely missing from your mind in that beautiful room. You are not waiting for an eviction notice. You are not planning your desperate escape route just in case the peace suddenly shatters. You sit down in the chair and you finally let your tired muscles sink into the soft fabric. You breathe in the quiet air without feeling guilty for resting. You understand that you belong in this warm house. That peaceful evening is not a foolish fantasy. That steady version of you already exists right now. That person is waiting on the other side of one single choice you must make today. You only have to say yes to the open door. Comment: I am walking through the open door. Declare it before you listen to my final warning. But there is one more thing about that quiet room I have not told you yet. I call it the last thing I kept. I have kept it back on purpose, because you were not ready for it earlier. You will receive it after the final close. You will not receive it in the part of this that sounds like an ending. Do not walk away before you hear that final word. I need to tell you exactly what another year of hesitation will cost you today. It will not cost you money, and it will not cost you your health. It will cost you the beautiful life that is actively waiting for you. If you turn away from the open door today, you will spend the next 12 months asking me for the exact thing you are currently rejecting. You will wake up next winter, and you will feel the same heavy exhaustion. You will feel deeply bitter because you will think I completely ignored your desperate prayers. You will wonder why the profound breakthrough never arrived. On the day you need the peace the most, you will reach for it and find absolutely nothing. You will find nothing because you were only willing to sit through the comfortable parts of the journey. You will profoundly regret turning around today. I am telling you this because the quiet cost of delay is incredibly high. You think staying outside the door is a perfectly safe choice. It is the most dangerous choice you can possibly make. The old familiar pain will slowly eat away at your bright spirit until you forget what joy even looks like. You will settle for a miserable fraction of what I intended. You will convince yourself that the tiny fraction is all you ever deserved. I am standing between you and that terrible outcome right now. I absolutely refuse to let you walk back into the cold wilderness. I am not moving from this spot. I will not let you throw away the magnificent inheritance I have prepared for you. But you have to stay where my hand can actually reach you. You must make the firm decision to stay in the light. The darkness has nothing left to offer your soul. What comes next is going to sound exactly like the end. The voice will slow down significantly. The words will get much shorter. That is not the end at all, my child. That is just the doorway to the final blessing. The last thing I kept is still resting safely in my hands. It is handed over on the very other side of the quiet close. Do not set your phone down when the farewell begins. Do not put the device down just yet. The stern warning is officially over. The heavy commanding is completely finished for today. Now come here and sit down with me. I want to say the rest of this to you very quietly. The long teaching is finally done. What is left is only between the two of us. I am lowering my voice for this last part. This is not another difficult instruction for you to carry into tomorrow. It is a holy blessing meant to be received. You came into this room carrying a heavy weight you had stopped noticing, but you are absolutely not walking out with it today. What you are taking with you is much lighter. It is the deep knowledge that your painful waiting always had careful hands on it. I was holding you the entire time. You have been so incredibly tired. You spent years arranging your life so nobody could tell how much you were secretly hurting. You played the strong one perfectly. I see the profound exhaustion hidden behind your familiar smile. I know exactly how much it cost you to keep pretending everything was fine. Let the heavy words rest now. I want to speak to you the way a loving father speaks at the end of a very long day. You do not have to carry anything out of this quiet room tonight. You have fought a good fight. You stood your ground when the fierce winds tried to tear your entire house apart. You wept in the dark, and you still woke up to serve the people who needed you. That kind of quiet loyalty is extremely rare. I have recorded every single act of unseen kindness you performed. You thought nobody noticed your deep sacrifice. I noticed every single moment of it. You do not need to make a massive plan. You do not need a list of tasks that will only make you feel guilty by the weekend. You only need to know that you are deeply seen. You were seen all the way down to the bottom on a night when you had almost stopped expecting to be noticed, and I was sitting right there beside you in the overwhelming quiet. Let that profound truth be completely enough for tonight. It is definitely enough for me. I promised you one more thing about that room. I told you about the last thing I kept safely hidden. It is time to hand it over to you. You thought the peaceful room was the final reward. You believed the blessing was just a quiet space where no one asked anything of you. That is only half of the beautiful truth. The quiet room is not the actual treasure I was protecting. You are the treasure. The person standing in that room is completely different. You are not waiting for a strong rescuer to arrive anymore. You are not hoping someone will finally come and validate your weary existence. You have become the steady presence you always searched for. You finally possess the quiet strength to stand on your own 2 feet. That is the whole reason I would not open the heavy door early. I was waiting for you to become the person who could truly own the room. You no longer need to brace for the terrible impact. You no longer need to read the weather in every face before you speak your mind. You are stepping through the open door as a rightful heir. You are claiming the profound peace that was purchased for you a very long time ago. Nobody is ever going to take it away from you. Your long season of bitter exile is finished. The familiar door of chaos is permanently closed behind you. Do not let the old enemy whisper lies to you tomorrow morning. When you wake up and feel the strange lightness in your chest, do not panic. Do not go looking for a new problem to solve. Just let the morning be completely peaceful. Give yourself permission to exist without a looming crisis hanging over your tired head. You have fought hard enough for one lifetime. You have absolutely earned the right to just sit still and breathe. I am lifting the heavy label you placed on yourself. You are no longer the forgotten one. You are no longer the person who always gets left behind when the good things are handed out. I am giving you a brand new name today. You are the one who breaks the bitter cycle. You will change the entire trajectory of your family line because you simply refuse to stay angry. Your children will walk in total freedom because of you. This is the moment you must finalize the massive shift. You are no longer someone who merely heard this comforting message. You are someone who said it out loud and made it incredibly real. When you write it down where others can read it, you stop being a quiet spectator. You become a living testimony to the miraculous grace I have poured over your life. I want you to make the final choice right now. Declare it one last time before you leave this place. Type "My waiting ends today." Put your own name on that bold declaration. I read what my children write. Leave that powerful sentence behind you as solid evidence for the person who will walk down this hard road tomorrow. They will desperately need to see that somebody else survived the violent storm. Your public victory becomes their private hope. Everything I came to say has been completely said. The heavy burden is lifted and the new ground is completely solid. Now go. Walk out of here the way a person walks when they finally stop auditioning for a place they already belong to. I am with you in the quiet kitchen at midnight. I will be standing right beside you when the morning sun finally rises. Step into the bright light. Go.